So we are reviewing concepts in vocabulary involving fractions. And so I'm going to put this right here for a second. Okay, so the first idea is it says a small pie is cut into 4 equal pieces. If someone eats 3 of the pieces, what fraction of the pie does the person eat? And then the second part is what fraction of the pie remains. So imagine you have a pie, and I'll just draw a nice, normal, boring rectangle. I guess pie normally is round, but whatever. And it's cut into 4 equal pieces. So, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our 4 equal pieces. So that means each one of these is a fourth, because we've cut them into 4 equal-sized pieces. Now, if someone eats 3 of those pieces, what fraction does that person eat? So if somebody eats 1, 2, 3 of them, that means that person has eaten 3/4 of the pie. And so that would be this answer right here. And then the second part was what part of the pie remains. And that would be this part right here. And so that part would be 1/4. So that's 1/4 that remains. Some more fractions that we're kind of reviewing here. And it says in the fraction 11/21ths or 21sts, the numerator is always going to be the top number. It's always that top number. And then the denominator is always the bottom number. All right, so in any fraction, that's your numerator, and this is your denominator. And the way I always remember it, U stands for up, and D stands for down. The numerator has a U, and then the denominator, D goes down. My 4th grade daughter, her teacher says denominator goes on to bottom. I don't know. That's her little trick. And then the numerator of the product of 2 fractions is found by multiplying the numerators of the 2 fractions. Is this statement true or false? And basically what they're saying is, if you have a fraction and a fraction, how do you multiply that fraction? And the idea is you go straight across and you just multiply. So 2 times 4, that's 8. And 3 times 7 is 21. And that is how you multiply. So the numerator, the product of 2 fractions, is found by multiplying. And the answer is, in this case, true. So select the best answer that completes the given statement. So what they're saying is, if you've got a fraction like, let's say 10/12, all right? Well, we know that 10/12 can be rethought of as 5 times 2 over 6 times 2. Because really all I did was take 10 and I said, well, let's make it 5 times 2, and let's take 12 and make it 6 times 2. Now, I know that I could have made 12. I could have made 12 4 times 3, but that wouldn't have helped me, because what I was really hoping for was a common number that would show up in both the numerator and the denominator. Because you'll notice over here, C shows up in both the numerator and the denominator, and that was my point. And so the idea is, well, 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1. And so this basically becomes 5/6 times 1. And we know that anything times 1 is itself. So 5/6 times 1 becomes 5/6. So what does that mean? That means 10/12 is equal to 5/6. because that common value gets kind of like crossed off. So here, those common values of c get crossed off, and so what are we left with? We're left with just, we're left with just the a over b, and so that is our answer for this problem, which is right here. And this says, what is the reciprocal? Well, the reciprocal means you take the fraction and you flip it. So if this is your number, then the reciprocal becomes 4/3. These fractions are not equal. That's why I drew an arrow instead of an equal sign. So if you have 1/2, the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2. And why is that? Well, that's because if you think about it, the reciprocal of 1/2 really is 2 over 1, but then 2 over 1 is equal to 2. And then leading us to this question, which is, well, what about the reciprocal of, let's say 5? Well, first you have to think about 5 as being 5 over 1, and then the reciprocal of 5 over 1 becomes 1 over 5, or 1/5. All right, so what's the reciprocal of a? Well, the reciprocal of a, you could think of it as being a over 1, so the reciprocal of a becomes 1 over a. So that means the answer is this one right here, 1 over a. So here it says, select the answer that best completes the given statement, and basically we're multiplying two fractions. That little dot means multiply. And so when we're multiplying two fractions, let's say 2/3 times 5/6. Nice, easy way to multiply is you just go straight across and you multiply. 2 times 5 is 10, 3 times 6 is 18, and I'm going to leave it at that right at this moment. Yes, we can reduce, but we're going to ignore that for a second. So what are you going to do if you're going to multiply AB times C over D? Well, you just multiply straight across. A times C becomes AC, and B times D becomes BD, and there is your answer, and so ACBD is right here. And the last one, select the best answer, because now we are adding. And so the idea is, if you have, let's say 3/8 plus 2/8. So the idea is, well, 3/8, you could think of it as like a label. You could think of this as 3/8, like 3 apples, eighths. And then 2/8, you could think of it as a label, like 2 apples. So you could say, well, 3/8 plus 2/8, that's going to equal 5/8. Oh, that's how you spell eighths. There you go. And so 3/8 plus 2/8, you could think of it in label terms. 3/8 plus 2/8 equals 5/8, like 3 apples plus 2 apples equals 5 apples. And so, how do you write 5/8? It's like 5/8. So basically, what happens here? Well, you added the numerators, 3 plus 2 is 5, but you did not add the denominators, because the denominators are kind of like labels, like units, like apples, or dogs, or dollars. $3 plus $2 equals $5. All right? So when you have, in algebra, when you have A over B plus C over B, there's our common denominator, so the B stays the same, just like the 8s stayed the same. And then A plus C, you can't add them, you can't combine them in any way, so you just write A plus C. And there you go, A plus C over b. And in this case, it's that one right there. And that wraps up this video.